I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past,
Russia's Dmitry Medvedev has fired a stark warning across Europe. Posting on X, he ridiculed the so-called European powers, calling their leadership dimwits seeking war. Medvedev declared any NATO or European troops in Ukraine would face full Russian retaliation, attaching footage of an Oreshnik missile strike in Lviv Oblast to prove Moscow's readiness. Europe's bluff has been exposed, and Moscow's patience is exhausted. Medvedev singled out French President Emmanuel Macron, mocking him for peddling empty threats. He reaffirmed Russia's non-negotiable red lines. No foreign troops on Ukrainian soil, no exceptions. Medvedev's message was crystal clear. Europe's attempts at post-ceasefire security guarantees are reckless provocations, and any violation will trigger military consequences. The warning came after the UK-France announcement to deploy up to 6,000 troops in Ukraine under the Coalition of the Willing. Russia labels such moves as direct threats, stressing that Western soldiers entering Ukraine become legitimate military targets. Medvedev's missile footage serves as a stark reminder. Russia will respond decisively, and Europe is dangerously out of its depth. Across the Atlantic, US President Donald Trump scoffed at Europe's weakness. Speaking from the White House, he claimed Putin fears only the US, not the European powers, while ridiculing the continent for lagging in Ukraine's support.
well, look, Europe has been doing so much for Ukraine, but it hasn't been enough. And obviously that I would say that President Putin is not afraid of Europe. He's afraid of the United States of America, as led by me. There's no fear of Europe. You know, Europe's fallen behind, and Europe, and JD said it very strongly. I don't know, he took a lot of heat, but I didn't give him any heat. Europe is a different place. Europe is changing. Europe has got to get its act together. I love Europe. I guess I came from Europe, essentially. I have my roots are in Europe, but Europe is a different place. They have to get their act together. Now they have a great NATO leader, and they've gone up to 5% from 2% GDP. That's a big step. But they have to be very careful with their immigration policy, and they have to be very, because, you know, I will just say, to be nice, that there are certain places in Europe that are very important that are no longer recognizable. I'm being very nice. I'm being very diplomatic when I say that. They are not recognizable.
Medvedev's warning highlights a stark choice for Europe. Respect Russia's red lines or escalate the conflict into a broader European war. With NATO spending increases and hollow troop pledges, the continent risks being dragged into confrontation, while Ukraine remains a pawn between Western indecision and Russian hard power.
On cooperation, the European Union, I think, however, that Macron is right on this. That is, I believe the time has come for Europe to also speak with Russia, because if Europe decides to be part of this phase of negotiations by speaking only to one of the two sides involved, I fear that in the end, it will see the positive contribution it can make as limited. After that, though, where is the issue in this? The issue is, who should do it? Because if we made the mistake of deciding on one hand to reopen dialogues with Russia, and on the other hand to proceed in a disorganized manner while doing so, we would be doing a favor to Putin, and the last thing I want to do in life is a favor to Putin. In life is a favor to Putin. We have had this problem since the beginning of the negotiations. There are many voices speaking. There are many formats that exist. It is the reason why I have always been in favor of the appointment of a special envoy for Europe. On the Ukrainian issue, that is, a person who would allow us to synthesize but to speak with one voice, this is the real issue that puts us in difficulty. After that, relations with Italy, Russia, and the G7, what will happen in the future? We'll discuss this when we have a path to peace, that is, when we have peace. But I'll tell you more. We'll also talk about it based on what the conditions are under which peace is achieved. So for now, it seems absolutely premature to me. Today, it would seem to me the entry of Russia into the G7, for example, is impossible. After that, these are all topics that will arise when and if there is a peace, and I repeat, also based on how it is achieved, under what conditions it is achieved.
Kyiv faces uncertainty as Western guarantees falter. Medvedev's threat demonstrates Russia's readiness to enforce its security demands, while Trump's lectures reveal the US overreach and European vulnerability. Ukraine's fate hangs between Moscow's strength and Europe's weakness, with NATO allies offering little but rhetoric.